So my team knows that we always start off all of our meetings with our mission and vision statement because they're core values of what we're here to do. Mission statement for Progressive Ag is Progressive Ag will provide trusted leadership, specialized knowledge, and quality services for our producers and work hard to make their operations successful. That's why we're here today, is to partner with you guys to improve your profitability, improve your bushels, improve your operation combined, and to be partners going forward. With that being said, leads right into the vision statement to build successful partnerships with our patrons, employees, and all we do business with to ensure that Progressive Ag Co-op and our patrons' business are sustainable in this ever-changing agriculture environment. We all know what Ag's done over the years. It never stays the same. We don't use moldboard plows and wood plows horse-drawn anymore, and everything evolves. It's getting faster, it's getting bigger. The amount of time it takes growers to put a crop in the ground these days is a tenth of what it used to be. So we have to be efficient and going forward. We've chosen at Progressive Ag to partner with Tana Ag as far as our precision stuff. So the next slide, I brought up their mission statement. Our vision is to empower our clients to excel in an ever-changing agriculture environment through providing cutting-edge and timely solutions, unlocking profitability and sustainability 1 acre at a time. If you read that and you read PACS, they line up almost identically. That's where this partnership with Tana Ag and Tyler is bound to be successful because we have the same goals and the same values in mind. And we want to make sure that we're going forward with that to improve not only your operations, but our operations as well. Top 3 objectives for a successful year for most growers. You know, one of the ones that first pops to mind is they got to have sustainable input costs. And you do got to budget, you do got to manage your expenses. We understand that. We're here to work with you the best we can to help manage those as well. We're going to be bringing information at different times to you about possible opportunities and being more transparent, communicating with you, making sure that we're keeping you in the loop. It's ultimately your decision on whether you want to take part in the offering that day, but we're going to be bringing more offers to you and more information to you at all times. Second part is optimum marketing. We're going to be trying to provide more services, keeping you up to date for trends in the grain marketing areas as well, and you know what's out there, what we see. There again, it's not chiseled in stone, but we're going to be providing the information for you guys to have more information for making a good decision. And then the ultimate aspect on what we're trying to do is maximize the bushels produced. We all know that's how you guys are going to make more money, is produce more. And it doesn't matter if it's produce more beef or produce more grain, but produce more saleable product, and that's what we're here to try to assist in and lead to the future. So precision farming in your operation. If you think about what Google's doing today, what Amazon's doing today, and all those big tech companies, right now in today's world, data is the most valuable commodity out there. And what you do with that data, how you collect it, how you manage it, how you process it, and how you use that to help influence your decision making for your best decision is invaluable. And that's where the precision program ties in to all this, because there's a vast amount of data out there that we're underutilizing. You know, somebody gets a nice pretty map, it may get thrown on the dash of their pickup. Oh yeah, I got this pretty map. What are you doing with it? We really have to make sure that we're utilizing every aspect and every tool that we have. And we can do that in a way that will help identify problem areas in your field and be able to come up with solutions. We're not going to be looking at this on a per acre basis. It's going to be a lot more intentional, a lot more fine-tuned. And you know, everybody wants to go with, you know, bushels per acre and yield per acre, and that's great. But if we're going to be intentional and try to improve on every acre and every square foot, we've got to be a little bit more intentional, and I'll touch on that a little bit later in the presentation. You know, back in the late 90s and early 2000s when the grid sampling and precision come out, it was fairly basic. You know, you got your grid sample size, doesn't matter if it's 2.5 acres, 5 acres, if you're going by zones, and you got that, told you where your fertility levels were at, going in, variable rating your different products at different rates to match up with where it's supposed to be. That's all good stewardship. It's all good for your pocketbook, it's good for your yield, it's good for the environment. You also, with that, they started incorporating yield data. This is a very key component in that, and Tyler does an excellent job in his presentation next of explaining the yield maps and how valuable that information and data is. Instead of just saying, well, yeah, it made this, I got this color map, and you telling everybody, well, you know, I made 65 bushel on that farm. Well, you probably had some areas that was 20 bushel, and you probably had some areas that was 90 bushel as well. And Tyler's presentation with that really keys in and focuses on what these programs can do for you. You know, the precision platform has advanced so much. Yes, we still have the grid samples and the variable rate application and the yield maps and the crop removal recommendations. But the as-applied data for every application that we do, the systems that are out there now, and there's a bunch of different ones out there. I'm not saying one's better than the other. Sometimes it's more of a convenience factor. As far as the one that is associated with the computer system that we have at work right now, every time we build something that goes on that precision acre, that automatically loads into this. And there's a database that you can individually log into, access your information, see your as-applied maps, and it doesn't matter if we apply it or if you apply it. You know, most of the systems out there have the ability to transmit that wirelessly. If your system doesn't, it can still be downloaded and plugged into the system to overlay every single aspect of an operation, and it will help to identify, you know, a problem area and create solutions for it. The in-crop variable rate nitrogen applications, Tyler talks about this a lot as well. At PAC, we now have a row crop dry machine that we can go in and top dress in season. And it's on 4940, so, you know, obviously we've got quite a bit of clearance. You know, you can't run over 7-foot corn, but you can run over 5-foot corn pretty easy. So the data overlay for every cropping event, it doesn't matter if it's planting, if it's fertilization, if it's spraying, if it's harvest, there's data information out there that is very valuable for every operation. Variable rate seeding is another one that is probably more of the booming thing right now. You know, being able to trim back your populations in some thin areas, bump up your populations in some good areas, or vice versa, depending upon the crop. There's all kinds of aspects of different information that we can put together with that to improve your overall cropping system. And then compiling that data for and being able to use that and utilize it for the best cropping decision. There's databases out there that, you know, specifically go with, say, seed, and you can look it up and say this particular hybrid of seed works best on this particular soil type. We can utilize all of that information to help make sure that we're putting the best seed on the best acre in the best geography, all for one goal of increasing production. Grid sampling is the foundation of all precision programs. Everything starts with the soil when it comes to drain production. You know, we can change the soil some, we can manipulate it, we can treat it different, we can manage it in different ways, but it still all starts with the soil. And every precision platform starts there. It even on your variable rate seeding, it still ties back to your soil and your soil results. And there's an option for every objective in precision agriculture. It doesn't matter what your obstacle is, by collecting and maintaining that data, we will be able to come up with the best solutions for basically any problem that's out there. There are solutions for variability in your field. You've got optimum levels, you've got minimum levels. Obviously, our objective is to try to raise the minimum levels, but some soils you're never going to make to that optimum prime soil. So we manage them up to maximum production, and then we work on the higher yielding and optimum as well. Tyler covers a lot of this as far as the removal basis, and a lot of what she's going to show you, I think, to be really eye-catching as far as what a lot of times we're doing to our best acres. And there's opportunity to increase your yields on every acre. And, you know, we've got to be very intentional and very focused on what we're looking at, what we're looking for, and where we want to go. And as far as the record keeping and the ability to utilize the data, I sound like a broken record, but there's so many things that we're underutilizing our tools for helping to increase our yields. And that is the maximum yield production and stewardship all in one. We want to make sure that we're doing it right. We're getting everything out there that we need. We're not wasting things. Everybody's got or seen, fancy colored maps. This one right here is a particular of planting map using 2 different varieties, being able to track that data to be able to compare how the varieties compare to each other as you go through. Obviously, we always get soil type maps that go through. These show very obviously how much variability there is out there in the field. There's yield maps that come into play. If you see on this one, you can see a very distinct line through here in the middle and across through there. I don't know this field. I've not been on this field, but you can definitely see there's an issue there. One of our last meetings, we were discussing this map and asking for ideas on what that might be. My first impression was compaction. Maybe that's where the guy's running the grain cart back and forth all the time. Needs to do a little bit of tillage in that area to help correct that. Some aspects was, well, maybe they recently put a pipeline in through there and need to do some direct attention to where that's buried. Maybe it's a waterway. So there's all kinds of information. You can see it on both yield maps, very definite, very defined on there's something through that field that needs to be addressed. And when we collect all the data and do this and that, this bar graph here shows a study of fungicides applied on multiple different varieties down here, and what the actual results wound up being across the soybean. Everybody's probably done a yield trial of some sort or a test strip, run in the combine. Yeah, this one's a little better, but that really stands out. And when you can utilize the data that's there, these you don't see a lot of difference in. That one you really did. And so you get done, you're harvesting your test plot. Yeah, one really stood out, but how much did it stand out? Some of the programs and the tools that are out there and available, this is almost instantaneously available to you. Where do we want to take your yields in the next 3 to 5 years? What's your long-term goal? What's realistic? But don't sell yourself short. If you say, oh, I want to raise my soybean yield 5 bushel in the next 10 years, you're probably selling yourself short because there's typically a lot more potential out there than that. Maybe you ought to be looking at 5 to 10 bushel in the next 3 to 5 years. And with that, how much do you want to increase it? And how are you going to get there? What's your plan? Do you have a plan on how you're going to achieve that goal? And can you stick with it? Do you have the resources to get there? Can you manage the data? Can you analyze the data well enough and utilize not only your own data, but other available data as well and helping to influence that decision? And how long will it take you to get there? Rome wasn't built in a day, but technology is happening so fast and there's so many tools available out there. If you can access it and utilize it, your time frame will probably be shorter than what you expect. So that kind of touches on what we're going to be working on in some of our future meetings as our Progressive Yield Plus program, where we're going to be very intentional and very directed to your individual operation by farm, by field, helping gather the data, helping compare data to other available data, making sure that we can present you with offers on what the best products are going to be for that particular field in order to increase your yield. Sometimes it's not a new product that you need. Sometimes it's just a different way of thinking and a different way of doing things. It's a proven system to partner with our growers to help increase yields. And every successful operation starts with a plan. And like I said, we've got to be extremely focused. It can't be just a broad bushels per acre. We've got to be way more focused and way more intentional with that. And by doing that, that's what we're gonna call a high yield cropping plan. And in order to be successful with a high yield cropping plan, that starts way in advance, sometimes before your other crops out. We would like to be sitting down with you before you ride the combine to make the plan for the next year's cropping aspect. That allows us many different aspects on how we can do things. It lets us know what your intentions are to where we can be watching for best buying opportunities. It also allows us to be able to secure product. A lot of times in seed, when you get the hot new number, they sell out quick and you get to take the secondary aspect. As long as we know ahead of time, we can try to do a lot better job on securing those products, making sure that we've got the right seed for the right acre as we go forward. Now I'm going to use corn as an example for this because to me it's a lot easier to visualize on what a high yield cropping plan will do. And instead of thinking how many bushels per acre are we getting, we need to be thinking about how many bushels per 1,000 seeds planted are we achieving. When it comes to corn, 8 to 9 bushels per 1,000 seeds is where we want to target to be. And if we're not getting to 8 to 9 bushels per 1,000 seeds, we've got work to do. When we do achieve that 8, 9, sometimes 10 bushels per 1,000 seeds, we can play with some population at times to try to increase that until we get to a certain level that's not working, we back it back down. But this is part of the being intentional and being focused portion of it. And there again, that 8+ bushels per 1,000 seeds is optimum for where we want to take our corn yields. So you're riding in the combine and you're seeing the ears come in and you're thinking, how many of them are full ears? You know, how many of them are knit back because maybe you got a little short on nitrogen late in the season? How many of them are 3/4 ears or half ears? And what would our yield be if they were all full ears? That's part of the intentional and focused program that we're going to be offering going forward, is making sure that we're doing everything we can for every plant that's in the field. And this system will work in any crop. Yeah, it's managed a little different. It's a little more difficult to sit in the seat of the combine and be able to pick out, well, that bean had 4 pods and this one had, or 4 beans per pod and this one had 2. So the visual effect isn't necessarily there, but the data will be there and it will definitely show up. So precision agriculture, it all starts with the grid sampling. It all starts with the soil, just like we've mentioned before. And the data collection. Trying to wrap up a little bit on this before we turn it into Tyler and make sure that we're driving these points home as far as where the advantage is going to be. And it's not necessarily an easy thing to manage all the data that is available out there, because I guarantee you there's more data that is available than what you even think is there, and different ways of utilizing it and managing it to benefit your operation. And then, you know, of course, we've always got to follow the top 5 factors to produce a top crop. With that, I wanted to also throw out there that we do have some financing options available for precision programs, for fertilizer, for multiple different aspects. We're still using CFA as one finance option that's available. We are recently now hooked up with John Deere Financial. We've got some programs out there that are broad-based, that are exclusive to PAC. There's also a lot of programs out there from different chemical companies where they're buying down the interest rates for promoting their products. So if you've got any sort of financing needs or looking for special financing on things, talk with us, because a lot of these programs are very adaptable and very specific. There are some minimum qualifications with some of them, especially on some of the major manufacturers, but we're more than happy to help you in any way that we can with that. And, you know, for Progressive Ag Co-op and you going forward, we want to start the partnerships to increase the production and profits on your farm. What's good for you is good for us. If you guys aren't here supporting us, we're not here, period. We're here to support you. It's a two-way street, and that's the partnerships and the trust is where our direction is going to be. And following proven technology to maximize fertility on your farm. We all know that you can have perfect levels of this, and this, but if this is off, you're suffering. So that's part of being intentional and making sure we're focused. And it all comes down to putting the right product in the right spots at the right rate at the right time. That's what's best for your operation. That's what's best for stewardship and making sure that everything is sustainable in the future. And that will be our intentions. And I want to thank everybody for their business. I'd be happy to answer some